Hey guys, welcome back. In this episode here, we're going to show you how to do a water change in my little 5.5 gallon tank here. It's been up and running for about a year. Got a few things in it, nothing really too special. It's just kind of a tank that I just throw all my extra stuff in. And little clown, peppermint shrimp, feather duster, a couple crabs in there, snails and stuff. But I'm going to show you how to do a water change in it because it's desperately in need of it. So what you're going to need is your salt. Of course, I use the Instant Ocean Reef Crystal. You're going to need a hydrometer, which I don't have on hand right now. It's in the bathroom, I think. You're going to need 2 buckets. I use one for mixing and one for emptying the tank, just so you don't get any waste into the good one. And you're going to need like a stirring stick or a power head or something for when you mix your salt together. Alright, so let's get going. Let's start off by wiping my tank down with the mag. If you don't have one of these, you should really invest in one. They're great. They work awesome. You don't have to put your hand in the tank or anything, and it really does a good job on taking off all the algae and stuff. I want to try to avoid stirring up your sand bed or knocking over rocks, but just try and get as much of this crud off as you can. Do the front, side, back, anything you can get your hands on, try and clean. Alright, stick that back up in the corner. And now the fun part begins. Get to siphon some water and clean some crud. So I'm going to be taking 2 gallons out. Like I said before, if you see any, I'm going to try to avoid grabbing rocks. That'll help a whole lot. But if you see any crud anywhere on the rocks, on the sand bed, you know, just try and do the best you can to suck it up off of there. You know, it looks like my shrimp just molted, so we'll have to grab some of that if we can. All right. It's about a gallon there. So now what I'm going to do is, you could just see all of the waste that I got out of there. I don't know if you could see it in there, but there's quite a bit. And you just go ahead and dump that either down the drain or whatever. I don't know, wherever you want to dump it. And you don't want to reuse that or anything. That's bad water right there. All right. So that's about a gallon there. What I'm going to do now is, since this is being such a small tank, I'm going to actually put a fresh gallon into it, let it sit for a little bit, and then I'm going to siphon another gallon out of it. That way you can, it's an equal water change, yet it's spreading it out more. So you're getting it a little more effective that way than just ripping all of it out and dumping it all in. You want to try to mix it up a little bit, and so it doesn't shock the environment with all the fresh water going into it. Alright, we're going to start off by taking our RO/DI water in our bucket here. I'm only going to make a small portion so we can do it in small portions like this. I'm going to make 2 gallons. Only because it's a 5.5 gallon tank, so there's no need for a huge water change. Usually the measurements go 1 cup of salt per every 2 gallons. So I got my 1 cup of salt here, and I got my stirring stick, and this is my hydrometer that I was telling you about before. It's made by Instant Ocean. I'm going to shoot around for 1.025. That's about where you want it for a reef tank. It's not necessarily a reef tank, but usually the inhabitants like it around there, from what I understand. So just go ahead and pour in your salt. Try and mix it up as best you can with the cup, and then take your stirring stick and just go ahead and do circular motions. You know, weave back and forth, zigzags, whatever you want, as long as it gets stirred up. Okay, and then you want to let that sit for probably like a half an hour or so. That's what time I usually let it sit for. We're back here. It's been about a half an hour now, and looks like our water has settled. So we're going to take our hydrometer, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rinse it in some water real quick, just to make sure there's no salt in there. I'm going to try and get all the crud out. I'm just going to dip it in, let the water regulate in there, pull it out. I tap it just in case there's any bubbles laying on there. Just, yeah, you see there's bubbles floating up. And then we can go ahead and set her down on the table here, and if it were necessary, this is the point where you would add a little bit more salt and stir it up and wait a little bit longer, and then test it again. I really don't have a special way of adding this. I just take a little bucket and scoop it out of my bucket here, and I just kind of sink it in. I try to do it as slow as I possibly can, so I don't shock anything. This isn't the greatest way to do it, but with this tank, I'm not really too concerned about anything, because the things in here are so hardy that it's not really gonna affect any of them. But if you're gonna do this with like you know, more expensive stuff, and you know, stuff that can actually be harmed like this, I recommend you do it either through the sump or the back of the filter. I mean, as long as the salinity is the same, it's not going to hurt them, because it's fresh water going straight in. But the salinity and the temperature are the main things that you want to have the same when you're putting it in. And the temperature in the bucket here and the temperature in the tank are exactly the same. I make sure that it is right before I mix the salt in. If it's not, I let it regulate. I either heat it up or cool it down, and I want to make sure it's exactly the same. And that's good for now. You can see in your bucket that you're just about under a gallon, so that's how much you want to take out next time. Great part about doing a water change in two parts is it gives you a second opportunity to get anything you missed on the rocks. In a small tank like this, the water comes out of the siphon so fast that it's kind of hard to get everything. So this gives you a good opportunity to then go back and just get anything you missed on the rocks or on the sand bed, or even if you missed something on the glass, you know, you could wipe it down with your mag or your finger or whatever, and it'll give you a good opportunity to give a thorough cleaning to the tank. I'll keep an eye on where it's hitting, and right about now is where I'm going to stop. And that's just a tad under a gallon, so I should have just enough to get back in there. And I got a good cleaning on the rocks there too. Grab your bucket of freshly made RO salt water. Then you can go ahead and add it right in. And that concludes the video of the 5-gallon water change, or the 2-gallon water change in the 5-gallon tank. And I hope you enjoyed this and found it interesting and helpful. And good luck with your reef tanks.